Hi guys, it's Blackie,
And Bear.
and welcome to Old Wayz number 21.
We're legal.
We're legal now, yeah. We're going to be making a few more of the pot scrubbers while we're talking, so just hang along with us, guys. All right, Bear, you were telling me ahead of time that there was a book that you had got that interests you, but that the choice of the author was a little bit antithesis to what you would have directed us, I will say. So how about fill them in on that and give them an idea of it?
Well, y'all know that I take one for the team regularly, where I will buy one of those books that they offer online, and found another gem, and you'll know it when I talk about it. I'm not going to name the book, okay? Out of respect for the author and the publisher, I'm not going to name the book, but it has to do with the Western frontier stuff and home remedies and things like that. Well, there's a section in there on firearms, and we both have a pretty extensive history with firearms. If it's out there, we've pretty much shot it. And some of the things that they're recommending, I just have to scratch my head and wonder why. I'm not judging. This is just my unsolicited opinion. They're talking about things like muzzle loading shotguns. Now, I love a shotgun, don't get me wrong. But if you're in a grid down situation, if all you got is a muzzle loading shotgun, by all means, go for it. But if you have access to a modern shotgun, go that route. Blackie and I were talking about it, and for shotguns, there are a dozen different shells for each gun.
Around a dozen or so, yeah.
Yeah, there's like a dozen different shells for each gun. So I mean, if you need it, it's out there, from the smallest little field load pellet all the way up to the biggest slug. I mean, you can take a 12 gauge and you can take anything on the North American continent with it.
A 12 gauge will give you the ability to take everything from field mice, birds, all the way up to moose and bear,
Yeah,
within limitations and what shell you put in it.
right,
So the only great limitation of the shotgun is range.
exactly.
That's about it, and how heavy it is and the components they are to carry. But as far as performance, absolutely. You could feed your family well with a shotgun.
Yes.
And our ancestors did. They used trade guns, which were basically shotguns, and were far more loaded with shot loads than they ever were with a solid ball. Or
Right.
bucking ball was a preferred load for most of the guys in the day, because the average guy couldn't hit nothing beyond 70 yards anyway.
Right. I mean, you're not. If you're shooting a shotgun out beyond 50 yards, you're really pushing it.
Yeah.
Okay. They were talking about rifles, and they were talking about the Winchester 73. Good gun.
Great gun.
If that's all you got, okay. It's chambered in 45-70,
No, 73 is chambered in 44-40 or
44-40.
45 Colt or 44 Special today, and 387, I think. But you're gonna have to hunt, and would not be my. They're great guns. Don't get me wrong. I love the design, love the time, but I've got 35, 40 years experience playing with them designs, so I feel confident. Would I have a grandkid right now that I would hand that gun to with little or no training and tell them to use this for a survival gun? Not if I had a choice of anything else.
Right.
You know, it's just.
That's my point.
Yeah.
That's my point. Are lever actions good guns? Without
Absolutely.
a doubt. Without a doubt. But if you're going to get one that's chambered in a pistol caliber like a 357 because it will chamber any 38, almost any 38 caliber
Yeah.
shell that you can find. I have one that's chambered in 357. I've also got a 357 pistol.
Interchangeability.
I can carry both of them and go into the woods and thrive. I urge you, okay, if you're thinking about doing that, get something that's compatible. Okay, don't be carrying 3 different guns and 3 different types of ammunition. Get them as closely matching as you can.
And that's one of the considerations. Disregarding what I just said, like I said, I've got so many years experience. I got my first 4440, which is in a Henry rifle, it was the caliber that was in the 73 he was talking about, in 1983. So I've been shooting it since 83. I reload extensively for that. I've got everything from shot shells to heavy loads to light loads. I've really worked that out. And I'm going to tell you, if you're looking at a long term, your best advantage is all the calibers that I'm looking at, can I get them with the same primer, works in all of them, as far as a handgun or a rifle? Can I get them where I can use the same powder to load for all of them? Because again, I don't want, at one time I reloaded for 17 different calibers, but I only had 5 powders and 2 kinds of primers, and that would handle all 17. And so I would load up 100 rounds of each, and then as that diminished, I would replace out of my powder and primers, not just wasting them. But what I'm saying is the 308, the 30-30, the 30-06, 270, 243 all use the same primer. So it would make sense to try to stick in that, because in the long term you got these finite resources that you're going to have to stockpile. It needs to be something that I get the biggest bang and the most versatility for the buck. Unless it's that one-hit wonder that I only need. I had a friend of mine that he's big time. He wants to be prepared for the world ending. And he went and got him a bolt-action 50 cal that shoots my deuce. And I went, for what possible purpose would you want this? And so
I guess if we got overrun by T-Rexes.
Yeah, it's like, well, I might have to stop vehicles. And I went, vehicles are a whole lot easier to stop than you think. You know,
Oh yeah, just take the driver out and you're done.
You know, tires are a lot. You can put a tire out with a 22. You know, it's realistic. Now he's invested so much money, so much time in a one-hit wonder. The gun does not share any components in reloading with anything else he's got. It's special brass, special primer, special.
Yeah.
And the amount
Probably
of money.
has a special price on it too.
Oh my God, he's probably got $2,000 wrapped up right now in just the reloading and components for that gun.
Yeah.
And he could have had, you know, a 5-year food supply, and a 30-30 would have served him far better
Absolutely.
than that. But you know,
Which reinforces my point. Okay. Another channel we were talking about this yesterday. Another channel got out and took they took a single shot, and we're going to try to destroy it.
yes,
And they put like it was a 30 caliber, 38 caliber weapon. But anyway, these folks put like close to 100 different calibers through this same gun. It shot everything. It was a 410 shotgun.
410
That's what it
shotgun.
was.
They found 37 different calibers that would fit and go bang.
Yeah, they shot like 100 rounds through it, and it was fat, dumb, and happy. It was enjoying it. And that's my point. Okay, that's my point. Talking about this book, they're talking about using, and forgive me, Blackie, okay?
Yeah.
Single shot cap and ball pistols. Okay, I've got them. I love them. They're fantastic. But in a grid down situation, they're not practical, or not that practical. They do have their place,
Yes.
but when you lose that, when you run out of those little caps,
That's
what you gonna
it.
do?
If you're looking for and I have had this discussion with more than a few people, and the question was, if I had to pick one thing right now that I would never be resupplied, I would have the ability to make my own powder. I would have my own ability to find and locate lead. I would have my own molds and etc. What would I get? It would absolutely be a flintlock, because it only requires powder, lead,
And chert.
which can be, if you can make an arrowhead, you can make this. And
Yeah.
so if you have, that's one of the reasons that the flintlock ignition held on for 400 years.
And it's still there.
And it's still there, is because nothing else can be made to function so primitively
And consistent.
and consistently, where you can make your own powder. You can go, and every junkyard has got lead wheel weights on tires. Every shooting range has a pile of lead in the bank. You're going to be able to find lead. Every old building has got an old pipe somewhere you can melt.
Yeah. I was under my house fixing water leaks from last week's deep freeze, and I found a big lead collar under my house that had been an old sewer collar.
Mm-hmm.
It's going in the melting pot.
Yeah, that more than likely was a toilet connection
It
from
was.
the early 1900s, and there
Yeah.
were tons of them. But the thing is, if I have the ability to do that, and then any kind of flint or chert that can be made to make a spark
Yeah.
can be shaped into something to make that thing go bang.
Flint does not exist on the North American continent. Okay, chert does. All of the true flint has to be imported,
Yeah.
and but chert, which is a close second, does. Matter of fact, there's a river close to where we live called the Flint River.
For a reason.
Yeah,
So yeah, you can find stuff. That is the only thing in the true grid down. We're never ever gonna have anything again. You're gonna have to make it from scratch. It's got to be a flintlock. Because any gun you name has got to have primers, and that requires advanced chemistry to make primers. Other than the physical side of it, even percussion caps, same technology. Like you'd make a primer to go into a 5.56. It would not be practical. Only a flintlock would be practical. But by that point, I'd be real good with a bow and arrow, guys. We're beyond grid down. We're into me Tarzan, you Jane days by then.
yeah.
So
Also, he brought up the point: scrounging ammunition. You know, if you find somebody who no longer needs their ammunition, then you can take their ammunition if it fits your gun. So you've resupplied. They've also mentioned, they mentioned the muzzleloading shotguns, and they mentioned shotguns in general. They talk about lever action rifles. They talk about single action pistols, and they have a single action cap and ball, and they have a single action cartridge shooter, and then that's where the conversation stops. That's the start of the conversation. I mean, literally, that's where the conversation starts.
a double action modern revolver doesn't require an additional magazine to make it go bang. Doesn't require gas pressure, whatever. As long as the ammunition will fit and go bang, it functions.
Right.
As opposed to an automatic of any kind that requires X amount of pressure and etc. So you can have shells that are too weak or too strong or whatever. You don't have that with a revolver as far as reasonable loading. Of course, you can have somebody loads it too hot, but any kind of factory ammo, etc. And I used to do a beer money challenge where guys would want to compete, and I'd say, okay, fine. I would race them 100 shots and I would use a single action Army. And they could use their 9mm. And of course, this is going to be an easy win, right? We'd get up there to the firing lane, and in front of us would be a box, and they'd start loading up clips. And go, we start with empty guns. That means empty magazine.
Oh, yeah, you didn't say that.
Oh, yeah, we start from empty. And so I would snatch up the gun, I'd put 5, eject 5, load 5, eject 5, and keep going. And he's having to stop and load that magazine. A semi-automatic with a loaded magazine is absolutely the fastest reloaded gun. A semi-automatic with an empty magazine is the slowest to reload gun because you got to load the magazine before you can put it in the gun.
Right.
A swing-out cylinder 38 beats both of them because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Eject, all your empties flew out, drop in 5, it will actually beat you to 100 rounds. And I have won more than my share of beer money in that little bet of, I tell you what, I'll shoot my little 38, you shoot your 9mm Wonder Toy, and whoever hits 100 rounds first wins. Oh yeah, this is gonna be, yeah. I don't let them have 20 loaded mags sitting there ready to grab. They gotta load that mag. I'll even let them have the first mag loaded. We'll start from load, okay. And then they get that 20 ahead, and then it takes them 2 minutes to load the mag. And I'm going 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Yeah, kind of messes them up a little bit.
For those of you who have been watching this series for a while, you'll know the series of books that I'm referring to. And there are some good nuggets in there. Please do not think that I am bad-mouthing these books, because there are some golden nuggets in there. You just got to go and dig them out. Would you agree?
I agree. I mean, the old adage, even a blind hog finds an acorn.
Every now and then.
Every now and then. Go through and look at information. And even if you don't agree with 95% of it, that's fine. That either shows your experience or ignorance, as my granddaddy used to say.
So where do I fall?
That's it, you know. My granddaddy would make a statement, and I would say, I don't believe that. And he said, that's either your experience or your ignorance. Because either you've got experience and you know that they're wrong, or you're ignorant and you're assuming they're wrong. See? And so go through that information, because I have found some real gems of knowledge in a relatively, I would have not given you the time of day for publication or whatever, but they did have a great point about this, you know, or about how to make that, or a way to preserve something, or how to do something. Knowledge is never wasted. So, talking to somebody here recently, and they were talking about, you know, what all they needed to put up. And I said, well, you need a good working knowledge about how to process game, a good working knowledge on how to cook over an open fire or on a stove or whatever, instead of just microwave. You need to have a working knowledge on how to cook. You need to have a basic mechanical knowledge of how to work on a vehicle and try to keep your vehicle in it as long as possible, where a simple broken belt can take you out of the whole thing because you don't know how to change a belt or a dead battery or something like that. So there's the tough part of trying to, you know, I need a list of what I need to know. That's a vast, vast book. Pick the things that you can and get a good working knowledge of before you move on. You've heard the old term, jack of all trades,
master of none.
Master of none. You know, I will fully admit that I am dumb as a post in a lot of topics, just because I've never been exposed to it, or I haven't had any real opportunity to learn in those. But on the other hand of that, I have a pretty this one?
No, this one.
Pretty vast knowledge on quite a few other things. Pulling none now?
Yeah.
Okay. And so therefore, apply what you know. Don't worry about what you don't know. Apply what you know and go with that. Always play to your strong suit whenever possible. Let me show you how to do that there, Slim.
Okay. You are the great hat of knowledge. Thank you.
No, I didn't do that intentionally.
Yes, he did.
Oh,
Anyway,
yeah.
let's come around full circle. You know, we're talking about the grid down, a grid down situation,
Yeah.
and you know we've discussed it time and time and time and time again. All of the sidearms in the world that you want to gather up from a lowly 22 rifle, which is an outstanding
Great
small
survival
game
gun.
survival gun, outstanding, and you can get some that break down into the stock of the rifle.
Mm-hmm.
That drops into a backpack, boom, nobody knows you got it. And you can take, you know, small game and large game. You didn't hear me say that.
Yeah.
Officially, I did not say that.
When
But-
it's to support life, anything's on the table.
Yeah, when it comes down to life or death, yeah, go ahead. But when it, you know, from a lowly 22 up to the 50 BMG he was talking about,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't know what you're doing, find somebody who does.
Yeah.
Find somebody who does and get them to teach you.
And get knowledge. Compile as much knowledge as you can. Always be willing to fail. Again, fail. First attempt in learning. You know,
And there's no harm in failing.
not a bit of harm in failing.
There's no shame in failing.
Uh-uh. There you go.
Well,
Okay. Hit it. No, no, no.
Daddy, would you do this for
No,
me?
no, no, no. What you're doing, let me show you what you're doing. Your tip is hitting.
Okay.
Put the tip,
Over here.
put the tip there and
Gotcha.
hit on the tip.
So
and
that's
you want-
keeping me off.
Exactly. Like
Gotcha.
that.
We're done.
See? Don't worry, 20, 30 years experience with a kukri, you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
And it makes a great fire starter too. So this makes a great bed. It makes all kinds of good stuff. The fibers are hollow, so they hold heat well.
It would probably make a really good survival shelter.
Oh yeah. You gather enough of it up and stack it up, it would stop wind, it'd stop anything.
Right.
So that right there would make a really good starter for a wood stove.
Yes, it would.
Set that on, set flame in there, turn it up, let the flame run up into it, and then shove it in the stove, close the door. Yep, we're good. We'll put it over here and let some squirrel or something find it and make him a nest.
In all things, training, experience. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Noah didn't start building the ark when it started raining.
Mm-mm.
Noah started building his ark before it started raining.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we are encouraging you to do through Old Wayz.
Yeah, get out there and learn and find like-minded individuals. Ask around because you have a really good working knowledge of gardening tomatoes. This other person the next town over that you become friends with really is good at fishing, you know, whatever. You join forces a little bit there and learn from each other. I will be happy to teach you how to build pot scrubbers and sage brooms and everything else. You show me how to do this. And you share information. That bartering we talked about earlier. Don't have to cost a lot of money. You ain't
No.
got to buy a bunch of books. Find somebody that's good at it and ask them to teach you. Simple
Yeah.
enough.
You may know how to cook on cast iron cookware over a fire.
Yeah,
That is, that is a bargainable commodity.
it is.
And, you know, like he was saying, you might have someone who is into growing gardening. Okay? By all means, make friends with a gardener. And they can teach you how to garden. If you're a good hunter-gatherer, that's your niche. Team up with that person and provide them meat for their services of teaching you how to garden. That's the barter.
I had a member of this shooting club that I'm part of that had approached me at the job I used to have, and they wanted to learn how to reload 308. And so I agreed to do it, and he said, and I'll give you 1,000 primers in exchange for it, because he had bought 10,000 primers. Well, knowing how hard to get primers were, yeah, Blackie was willing to go over there, and I helped him set up his dies. I got everything set up. We went out, we shot his gun, we worked out the load. I got everything written down. He understood, walked him through the whole process, so he knew what powder to get and everything. And now he's making accurate ammunition at a cheaper price for his gun. He's happy, and I got 1,000 primers. That was worth it for me.
Any bargain that both parties can leave happy
It's a good
is
deal.
a good bargain.
Exactly. Don't be afraid to say, hey, I'll do this if you do that. That's really the hard part, getting people to step up and say that. You feel embarrassed because we get that from school, being embarrassed to admit you don't know something, because we want everybody to think that we know what we're doing. Let me clue you in. Everybody's faking it. As my granddaddy used to say, you may be a brilliant MIT scientist, but your butt ain't worth nothing on a pig farm in South Alabama,
Right.
because your expertise is not in this field.
It's not.
Everybody doesn't know jack about something, and everybody knows a lot about something. Whatever that is, everybody's got a skill, everybody's got a talent in something. Maybe it's how to cut hair. Maybe it's how to bake cakes. Maybe it's in reloading. Maybe it's in hunting. Maybe it's in fishing. Welding. You know, I want to learn to weld a little bit. God, the projects I could do if I could weld. I learned how to run a milling machine and how to mill, and was lucky enough to get away from it before I got dumb and stupid and went to making receivers of crap, which I never did. I never did. So
He didn't.
I didn't, but I had a friend of mine that had been a master machinist, and he knew how to make near about anything, and I had some work I needed done, and me and him worked a deal. This was back in the 80s. And he taught me enough on that 3-axis milling machine that I could sit there and do these minor little things I wanted done pretty well. And I said, what could you do? He said, as long as you had the blueprints and knew how to do it, there ain't nothing you can't mill out or make. And then your mind starts thinking about, well, 1911 is not that old as, I mean, hold on a minute. No, don't do that. And
But it's really not.
it's not, knowledge
don't do
is
that.
everything. Knowledge is everything. It's how you create whatever you're creating.
One of my second favorite YouTube channels is a guy who lives about 80 miles east of us, that's what he does. That's his niche. And he mills some really cool stuff.
Mm-hmm. You learn and you apply. And back to what Bear was bringing up, look at the books, look at the information. Always be a hunter looking for that thing you didn't know. Because I don't know how many times I have scanned down through where somebody is talking about something, and I can tell that they have some experience, but they don't see the depth of it. Well, again, experience or ignorance.
Right.
And then you'll hit that one thing, it's like, whoa, wait a minute, what was that? Be always looking for that.
You don't have to be horribly, horribly critical.
Don't.
Okay? Because if you do that, you're going to get a judgmental eye.
Don't do that.
Don't do that.
everybody's doing the best they can, you know, and just because this guy don't have 10 years of your experience, he's going to make mistakes just like you did. So always be very forgiving that, okay, he doesn't know. Let him do the best he can, you know. If he
Also,
asks, give him some ideas.
yeah, don't be the know-it-all.
Don't.
Don't be the know. If you want to isolate yourself from people, don't be the know-it-all.
No.
Okay.
Be willing to share, but be willing to be ignorant too.
Yeah, very good point. Be willing to share, but be willing to learn.
Yeah, always be willing to learn.
Before I get off of my soapbox, look at we're back to firearms. Look at there are 4 or 5 really popular mainstream calibers right now. If you don't already have something that uses it, something that will eat it, you might want to think about getting you something that will.
All right, now there's 2 sides to that thought. If I pick something that's very, very popular, that means that resources are right now very available. When times get bad, it means everybody's looking for that resource too.
But you've already got yours.
So you got to have yours. So
Yeah.
that's the 2 sides of it.
Yeah.
If I look around and everybody's buying apples, and apples are cheap and available, and I go buy apples and I stockpile apples, that's great. Understanding that when they suddenly slam the door and nobody can get apples, I better have mine. Because everybody's wanting to do it. Whenever the great ammo shortage hit in 2007, 2008, all the way through 2010, where the factories were producing 5.56, weren't producing nothing else. And I had friends of mine calling up going, you know, have you got any 9mm? Yeah, I got a couple thousand rounds. Well, I need 200 rounds for this match. I know you do. I've been trying to get you to reload for 10 years. Oh, I ain't gonna do that. It's too cheap. Da. Well, they never invested. They never nothing. And
Go find it.
go find it. You know. How about toilet paper and Twinkies? Remember them? You know, it's one of them things where if you go with the popular, expect it's going to just dry up whenever they shut the gate. So you better be prepared for that. At the same time, for example, like with my single shot shotgun, I have multiple chamber inserts that I can drop in and out of that same shotgun, which is a 20 gauge. I can shoot 9mm and 38, and I can get a 410 and a 45 Colt and the
357.
And like that 410 single shot shotgun, that 37 calibers would drop into a 410 chamber and go bang.
Including 30-06.
308.
You can't reuse the cartridge.
No, it's going to bust it. But we're
it
talking
will shoot
about if I find any kind of ammunition and I'm shooting close range at something fairly good size, it will go bang and make a hole. So that's the idea of it, because you are truly in survival mode at that point.
Yeah, while you've got the opportunity, think.
Think and focus and get. And
Think.
have a plan. Don't just randomly, you'll mess up.
No, we've been doing this for quite a while.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're in an absolute society melts down situation. We're going to be okay.
Mm-hmm. I have the popular calibers.
Yeah.
I have 45 and 9mm.
Right.
I got 22.
Right.
I've got 12 gauge. I got 20 gauge. I got 38. I also got 45 Colt and 4440. See, and I'm pretty good with a bow, and I know how to make bows out of PVC pipe and out of wood. So I've got a barterable skill. Once the door closes and you can't get any ammunition, I'm set.
I think that's going to be an upcoming episode of Bears All Ways, where he shows me how to make a bow and arrow.
Out of PVC? That'd be
out
easy.
of anything.
PVC's easy.
But speaking of that, December was a terrible month for me, folks. Y'all know that back before Thanksgiving, I was having issues with my back. I've been in therapy for the last 2 months
Yeah.
with my back. And last week my therapist injured me in therapy, which I'm not upset about. Stuff happens.
They were trying to do right.
They were trying to do
went
right.
wrong.
It just didn't work, and that has set me back too. In the last few days, I've been able to move around real well, or better. Can't really say well, but better. And so there'll be some Bears always coming, and he's been gracious enough to set me up with the ability to edit, and there should be some stuff showing up in the next few weeks. So, and I appreciate your patience in advance.
We've got him. We did the hard part of getting it established. We got the first video up. He's got footage now. In the last couple of days, like I said, we've actually got him the computer that he can edit and all. And we got him the program and all. And so now he can sit and edit and start posting. So it's coming, guys. Well, I guess we're going to wrap this one up. Now go and hurt yourself now. I want the opportunity to do this on camera now.
I'll get a few more days off of work.
Yeah, do that. Well, guys, we appreciate you watching. There'll be more Wayz videos coming up. Anything else you want to throw in there, brother?
No, we're good.
All right.
Thank you for your support.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Thank you for your support. Till next time, guys, I'm Blackie.
And Bear.
Wishing you safe journeys. Have a great day, guys.